Hello and greetings from UB. On behalf of the Office of Alumni Engagement and the UB School of Management, we are delighted you are able to join us for today's webinar presentation. My name is Christy Fields, and I manage the Alumni Lifelong Learning Program here at UB. I am also joined by my wonderful colleague, Joy Rona, who will assist in monitoring any questions. We are both so grateful you are able to join us today, and we hope you and your family are staying well. It is my honor to welcome today's featured presenter, UB alumna Dr. Teresa Lawrence. Teresa is a subject matter expert on the integration of creative problem solving into project management. Teresa is president and owner of International Deliverables LLC, a New York State certified women business enterprise. In 2016, Teresa was identified by Business First as a Western New York Woman of Influence and the University of Buffalo Graduate School of Education as their 2016 Distinguished Alumni. Teresa is a certified project management professional and an alumna of the International Center of Studies in Creativity. In 2019, her company was a Home-Based Business Award recipient bestowed by the Small Business Administration. Today's webinar will serve as a trailer showcasing the upcoming project management and creative problem-solving micro-credential at UB. Whether you are new to project management or certified in the profession, this webinar will equip you with a few creative problem-solving tools and examples of their application to project management. We will leave some time during today's webinar for Q&A. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them through the GoToWebinar taskbar. There's going to be a question section on your screen, and you can chat those to us at any time. And then in addition, we are also recording today's session, and we will send you all a copy within the next 24 hours. With that said, it's my pleasure to turn it over to our featured webinar presenter, UB alumna, Dr. Teresa Lawrence.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. We'll spend about the next hour, maybe 45 minutes in content, 15 minutes with some questions. And the goal really is to expose the work and the power of integrating creative problem solving, having a process for solving problems, but also thinking about your work as projects. Rather than long to-do lists, how might we consider them and organize them as projects? Lots of times for interaction, and we certainly hope that you'll be participating when you have those prompts to do so. Agenda, a little bit about creative problem solving and project management. I'll show you a couple of tools and their application to project management, and I'll have you practice a couple of those with us together. And then we'll talk a little bit about this micro-credential. UB School of Management really being cognizant that we need practitioners' influence to train us to apply learning, especially these 21st century skills that we need, project management and creative problem solving. We'll highlight that for you and show you some links where you can find more information. Couple operational terms and a couple things, this notion of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know in terms of creativity and innovation, which comes first. Creativity, defined 65 years of research, most commonly as novelty that's useful, a new way of thinking of things, a new way of wondering about things that serve a purpose. That's the chicken. What comes, the egg, is that innovation, the application and the implementation of creativity. Creativity comes first, novelty that's useful, and innovation, that application and actually bringing that idea to fruition. The other operational term we'll have today and throughout our micro-credential is this notion of a project. A project is defined as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. It's a time-bound initiative, could be long, could be short. It has a beginning and an end, and it's a unique deliverable. Building a building, creating a training program, doing a summary audit. Those are terms that we'll be using throughout today. A little bit about me and my work. What I do is I integrate this notion of creativity and project management. Again, creativity, novelty. We need new ideas to solve new problems. In fact, we need new ideas to solve old problems. They have to be useful. Train people in that. I help organizations by facilitating creativity and doing a bit of turnkey training. That creativity is then intersected with project management. As we said, a temporary endeavor beginning and an end, that creates a unique deliverable. Here's the thing. When we intersect the two, we increase value. Let's think about our work as beginning and ends, stakeholder engagement, risk assessment, proper planning of our scheduling and procurements. Oh, and you know what? Our work, our projects, they have problems, they have challenges, they have opportunities. Let's ensure that we have a process to be able to solve those on demand, resulting in substantially increased value, whether it's stakeholder engagement, stakeholder satisfaction, whether it's coming in on time, on budget, whether it's incorporating great synergy in the team. When we intentionally intersect the two, we increase value. So here's the thing, in your chat box, if you want to go ahead and be prompted, and Christy will help read some of these out, there are 3 overarching characteristics of creative problem solvers. They have a unique openness to novelty. Friends, if you would, just write in the chat box. If you had to turn and tell somebody openness to novelty, what would that mean to you? Just take a second, a little bullet, maybe even 1 or 2 words. If you had to define openness to novelty to somebody, what might you say? And Christy will read a couple of those out loud, and then we'll do this 2 more times.
All right, Teresa, we have a couple here coming in. Being creative, willing to try something new, willing to try new things, another one. Willingness to consider alternatives, you're adaptable, you'll change in tradition, and willing to hear other people's ideas.
Christy, I love it. All summarized kind of in here, right? My overarching one, being able to entertain ideas that first seem outlandish and risky. So all of the things that you shared, absolutely. And what I would ask you to think about in your own work, to what extent do you and your colleagues have this openness of novelty so that we can be efficient and sophisticated problem solvers? We're going to do this 2 more times. Here's another one for you. Creative problem solvers, they have a high tolerance for ambiguity. High tolerance for ambiguity. Again, in the chat, if you would, how might you define that? And Christy will read up a handful of them when they come up again. A tolerance for ambiguity.
Okay, here are a few coming in. Can find a solution when a path isn't clear, be more understanding, open-minded, flexible, not rigid, trustworthy, accepting what you don't know, comfort with loosely defined plans, no need for one absolute answer, and patience working throughout what's unknown. Those are a couple, and there's a few more coming in, but I think that summarizes it.
Yeah, no, it does. And again, spot on, friends, being able to deal with uncertainty and avoid leaping to conclusions. We have to be comfortable with uncomfortable. To what extent are you? To what extent are your teammates? One other chief characteristic of sophisticated problem solvers is that they have a tolerance for complexity. Last time, we'll do this in the chat box. What might that mean, to have a tolerance for complexity? And then Christy, if you have a couple there, and I'll jump in again.
Okay, here comes a few, Teresa. So the first few, can adjust and meeting halfway, comfortable with not having immediate answer, and can hold numerous variables in mind. Are these qualities natural to some people? Being able to break a problem into smaller parts. It's okay if it's not easy. Open to challenge. Recognizing holistic solutions are needed, and can solve problems even when things aren't linear.
Absolutely. Again, friends, on our webinar here today, you're spot on. Being able to stay open and persevere without being overwhelmed by large amounts of information, interrelated complex issues, and competing issues. So if you possess those, think about yourself on a continuum. Where are you? We need to be okay with ambiguity. We need to be open, not jumping to the first idea. And we also need to kind of wrestle with, really, what's the problem that we're trying to solve? Project management, a little bit about project management, this intersection. Project management, PMI, Project Management Institute, will say that projects are industry neutral. You don't have to be in IT. You don't have to be in healthcare. You don't have to be in construction. I'm a former superintendent of schools. Projects, unique deliverables bound by time. All of our work had beginning and ends. Think about your work restructuring with COVID. think about your work, doing remodeling of your kitchen. Project management is industry neutral. Currently, we have a couple things going on in project management. The traditional waterfall method, where we plan everything out and then we work the plan. We also are entertaining this kind of traditional shift now to agile, being more flexible, planning as far out as we can, assessing, and then continuing to plan. A lot of organizations are finding themselves using this hybrid model. I'm finding that consistently in organizations. So we're going to plan out as best as we can. We're going to work that plan, but we're going to build in some adaptability and flexibility and kind of release a little bit of that rigidity. Here we're talking about risk, we're talking about scheduling, we're talking about stakeholder engagement, we're talking about procurement and closing things out, beginning to end, what might be all the things that need to take place, planning for them, and then working the plan. Creative problem solving, largely a 4-step process. Think about it. It's universal. We all do it. We need to think about what it is that we're trying to solve. We need to come up with some ideas, develop those ideas, and implement those ideas. The thing about creative problem solving, we can start anywhere in the process. A little bit about creative problem solving. Three major thinking that takes place with the dynamic balance between divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Divergent thinking, I want you to think about your foot is on the gas. You're going for ideas. You're trying to generate ideas. You want lots and lots of ideas. Convergent thinking, on the other hand, maybe being on the brake a little bit, starting to assess them, starting to explore them and develop them further. This thing of the dynamic balance, sometimes we diverge, sometimes we converge. No matter where we are in solving a problem, we have to do both. The thing is, we never do them at the same time. You can't have your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. A little bit about the intersection, why my work is so important. Invariably, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, it is absolutely sought after. The question is, where are you going to learn it? Project management. If we have that mindset, it increases our productivity, it increases our return in organizations. Project Management Institute is saying, seasoned, new project manager, you have got to begin to think about creativity, novel and useful, and innovation, the implementation of that in your projects. Creativity and innovation, we need it. Training in project management increases your ability to masterfully execute scope, customer satisfaction, and grow your business. So it's not so much, friends, that this micro-credential is saying you need to become PMP certified. No, it's about developing the skill set, tool set, mindset of creative problem solving and project management. Why the need to do it? The world is asking for it. Project management, body of knowledge, kind of like the go-to from project management, talks about brainstorming as a technique to generate and collect that will be related to voting and prioritizing. Why do we need to have this intersection? It's a required skill in every single certification to become a differently typed project manager. Oh, by the way, generate and collect, voting and prioritizing, does that sound a little bit like divergent thinking and convergent thinking? So for this process to be effective throughout our projects, we have some kind of fuzzy something. We need to generate lots of ideas, ways to think about the problem. Think about the inclusivity we have on teams and synergy, if ideas are valued, if your input is welcomed. And then we say, gee, from among all of those ideas, which do we want to develop and which do we want to implement? With life, there's always ground rules. We're going to get into practicing a little bit here. Ground rules for divergent thinking. We defer judgment. There is a time to assess. We're just not going to do it when we're generating ideas. Quantity. The best way to come up with a good idea is to come up with many. We're always going to set an idea quota. We're going to build on the ideas of others. You hear something and it makes you think of something else. And we're going to seek novelty. It's way easier to tame a crazy idea than to develop one that's not so novel and crazy that's out there. Defer judgment, strive for quantity, build on the ideas of others, seek novelty. Friends, I would encourage you to post this, use it as a guideline for your team meetings, whether you're in person or in Zoom, and remind your friends, we're just diverging, we're not evaluating yet. Quick story about quantity. If you've been to a baby shower, a bat mitzvah, or a wedding lately, you've been somewhere where there's a photographer. I asked a photographer once, how many pictures do you take? About three. 3,000. I show the bride and groom about 900. They pick about 50. That's about 2% of all pictures taken. When you're working on your projects, when you're looking to solve a problem, have a lot of ideas. Give yourselves the luxury of choice as opposed to being limited to an idea or two. Ideas are not actions, decisions, conclusions, or feelings. And when we have a process, friends, that invites team stakeholder input, what we start to realize is that we don't begin to offend people or the ideas that they create because we're using a process. So let's practice. I'd like you to think about our ground rules, defer judgment, go for quantity, build on the ideas of others, and seek novelty. You're going to use your little chat box again if you would. Just key them in and Christy will read some out. Friends, I'd like you to imagine either pre-COVID or in a, like just now way far past it that we can travel again. And I want you to imagine, and please key in the chat, what might be all the ways to improve a suitcase? What might be all the ways to improve a suitcase? When you look at this picture, what ideas do you get to improve it? Christy will just read out a handful of them and I will keep moving along. Any ideas to improve a suitcase, Christy, there?
All right, Teresa, they are coming in. We have rolls, make it float, scratch, strain resistant, change the shape, expandable handle. Those are just a few of the many.
Just a few. Friends, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep interjecting with some pictures, and I ask you to think about what ideas do you get for improving a suitcase when you look at this picture of an elephant? Christy, if you just want to read on one or two as they come in, and I'll keep going.
Excellent. Durability, a tough exterior, and make it stronger.
Great. How about this, friends? What ideas do you get for improving a suitcase when you look at this picture?
Okay, we have safety, lockable by combination, and easy access.
Super. Friends, what about this? What ideas do you get for improving a suitcase when you look at this picture?
Colors, fresh. I have a lot of color options coming in. Organic, preserve, light.
Excellent, excellent. And lastly, friends, what ideas do you get for improving a suitcase when you look at this picture?
Teresa, I see a lot of people putting fun in here. Travel, lightweight, wild.
Excellent. Friends, here's the thing. The question, what's with the pictures? Oftentimes when we're in meetings, when we're stuck, when we have a problem, we have the loudest person in the room, we have position title in the room, we have new people to the team. Ideas come up, we get a handful, and then we go quiet. Two things happen. We become uncomfortable with the quiet, or we think that's the only ideas that there are. The thing with the pictures is this third thinking that we use in creative problem solving. It's called combinate thinking. What is that? As Stephen King says, let's be clear. There's no magic that occurs when I get an idea. Two completely unrelated things come together to make something new. Combinate thinking, the tool that we just used, friends, is called forced connections. And it allows you to take a prop, a picture, an item, take a walk, and ask yourself, what new ideas do I get to solve this problem, or ideas to do when I look at this picture? Forced connections. You want a lot of ideas when you're diverging, when you're coming up with ideas. What might be some applications to projects? Brainstorming. Recently, we did the search for a new superintendent, and with COVID, we needed folks to brainstorm around traits, characteristics that they were seeking. We can also do this electronically, generating lots of ideas. What's scope? What's the vision? Where are we heading? Brainwriting is a fantastically powerful tool where we're not speaking out loud, but in fact, we're writing down ideas. So the picture in the background, working with many, many, many stakeholders, think of all the work right now trying to get input from COVID. Let's have a process to do that on our projects. storyboarding, visioning. What might this outcome need to look like? What might this outcome have to look like? Friends, I just see, bear with me, it says my battery is running low. That doesn't make sense. Should be good to go. Another option here is storyboarding, but also stakeholder assessment. We need to be able to assess tolerance for risk among our groups, diverging around that and applications to projects. Oh, and by the way, there is the moto bag here. So we have some great ideas of how we can make an improvement to a suitcase. Battery, GPS, and a mobile device. You can write it if you want. We also have ground rules for convergent thinking, right? We do at some point need to converge. We're going to apply affirmative judgment. What do you like about the idea? Be open to novelty. It might be crazy, but we might be able to develop it into something that's usable. Be deliberate. Does it solve the task, the challenge? And stay on course. Don't be mentally lazy. It's a lot kind of easier and lighter to generate these ideas. We need to give the same time and attention when we're narrowing and making selections. Here's another tool to do that. Imagine we had all of those ideas about the suitcase. The tool, highlighting, lets you narrow down from many ideas. We would make some selections about the ideas that we like, begin to put like ideas together, and then restate and recapture. We're going to pick a lot of ideas. What works in your stomach? What feels good? What resonates? Put like things together. And then lastly, again, kind of restate those. What does that look like in projects and in our work? We'll have a brainstorm. People are given the opportunity to select ideas. Think about synergy, think about buy-in. We cluster them and then we restate. On the far right-hand side, it's an example of a brainstorming session for a lab. And rather than have engineers make this lab, we had the folks working in the lab brainstorm, hit what they thought they needed in this lab, categorize, and now architects were able to go back and build this lab in such a way that met stakeholders' needs. Application to project management. In sprints, we have these shorter periods of time in Agile, and a retrospective is when we look back on things. How did we do? We ask ourselves what worked well, what can be improved, what might we do in the next little time working together, and then we commit to some things. Without a process, without this being facilitated, it can be a lot of energy, a lot of talk without solutions. Another tool, PPCO, pluses, potentials, concerns, and overcoming concerns. 4-step technique that allows us to evaluate and develop ideas without crushing the idea or the originator. Teams reflect on the work. We get generating some ideas. PPCO, pluses. What did we have? What worked well? Potentials, always using the word might. We might continue to this. We might. Positives that might come of it. Concerns, we do need to converge. Where do we have some issues? And then overcoming concerns, actually going back to the divergent thinking and brainstorming some ways around. Application of creative problem solving into project management, have a process, ensure great buy-in, and have a plan that goes forward that doesn't crush an idea originator or the idea itself. Some other applications, criteria matrix. What does success look like? What do we need to have? What idea might we chase? PPCO there again. When we have lots of ideas or possible solutions or understandings what's going wrong, let's have a way to develop them. Let's have a way to identify them before we make a decision. Highlighting there again as an example, what might be all the pitfalls to our work? Why are we making progress? Why are we over budget? And then card sort, a way to rank and prioritize that gets complete and total consensus and buy-in versus acquiescence to something. Divergent tools, convergent tools, application in projects, ensuring that we have a process. Just as we have ways and steps in creative problem solving, we all have a natural affinity toward them. A clarifier, think about yourself or your teammates. They need facts, they need information, they can't move forward without them. The ideator, they come up with all these crazy ideas. The developer, they really want to tinker with the idea and want to develop it further. Then there's me. I like to take action. The thing about having these preferences is it's not ability. When we want to be creative and when we want to innovate, Let's recognize that we want to hire for talent, hire for skill, and then recognize what are the preferences, not abilities. What are the preferences of our teams we want on a high ambiguous challenge? Have everybody on board. If it's an easy something that just needs to get done, give it to me, I'll make it happen. Let's not waste our colleagues' times in meetings that they might not need to be in. As part of the micro-credential, I'll administer the FourSight assessment that will allow you to determine and understand what is your individual thinking preference as you approach creativity and innovation. This individual, a high implementer. Think about that as an energy wave. They get their energy through doing and implementing. Imagine we had all of our team profiles and we put them together as a group. Now we can understand not who's more talented, not who's differently talented, but the ways in which they approach something. This is a team with fewer people that like to clarify, generate ideas. Friends, this is not a team that develops ideas. This is a team that just says, hey, let's do something, which is great, assuming that you're knowing what is the right thing that you need to be doing. So as part of the micro-credential, we'll do this individually, and we'll do a great activity, online activity, and then working teams, keeping that in mind to be more efficient and effective in our projects. There are, in fact, 15 FourSight profiles, about 60, 65 years worth of research coming out of the International Center for Studies in Creativity, and also FourSight, the company itself. Again, who's on your team? What work needs to be done? How can we increase efficiency? And one more time, we'll do this in the micro-credential. You have the opportunity to take that assessment. A little bit about the micro-credential. The thing, friends, what I want you to be very cognizant of is that this is not intended as a training course to sit either the Certified Associate in Project Management or PMP exam. It's meant to give you practical, usable insights, understandings, and allow you to up your ante, framing problems, recognizing problems, tools to be inclusive, tools to understand where you are in a challenge, in a problem. And let's see if we can't apply that into increasing your skill set with project management. How might I look at this work, beginning to end? Stakeholders, integration, scheduling, procurement, risk. What might be all the things that could go right? What might be all the things that could go wrong? So we'll do the FourSight thinking profile. We'll cover lots of project management, certainly a tremendous foundation for you to be on par. And if you would want to sit for a PMP exam, we are going to add kind of a crash course that specifically focuses on that preparation. Here, this will be an overview of project management, really giving you some skill set, tools, and jargon. We'll talk about the creative problem-solving process throughout the course.
Hello, everyone. It appears that Teresa is having some technical difficulties. You are not having the technical difficulties. Please just hang on for a moment and we'll see if we can get her back. Just one moment. Thank you for your patience. all again, thank you for your concern. Teresa is booting up her computer one more time, and we should be ready to start just momentarily. Again, this is not your technical issue. It's on our end, so just hang tight for one moment, and we'll get right back to the presentation as soon as we can. Thank you for your patience.
Friends, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Teresa.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
sure can.
goodness. Okay, so if we can just have that screen share again. Show my screen and here. All right, friends, are we back?
We're all here. Teresa, thank you so much.
I'm not quite sure what happened, but thank you for working that through with me. All right, FourSight thinking, profile, project management, creative problem solving, project application. What we will do is throughout the micro-credential, be working on developing a project, using some templates, and actually applying some things that we have been working with. Now, Christy, you can't advance my slide, can you? It's being, oh, there we go. Facilitation, you're going to have opportunities to facilitate yourself in your groups and practice that. We're even going to see if we can get you to do that a little bit with some of your, maybe even some of your classmates or even in your family. We're going to have lots of opportunities in creative problem solving, as we said, project application, facilitation, PMP overview of the exam, what you would need to experience if you wanted to go further on. And again, we'll have an extension of this micro-credential that really just focuses on your ability to be masterful and successful on the Certified Associate in Project Management exam or the PMP exam. Some outcomes that we intend to have you achieve in that micro-credential listed here. Develop that mindset. Really be able to understand the creative problem-solving process, be able to apply it in new and unknown situations, tools to help you identify the real problem, better facilitation, skills on understanding how to shorten the amount of time to solve problems on the spot. Think about it, being able to move your teams from talking about the work to actually getting things done, and developing a culture in your teams and on your work that draws maximum potential, increases the most synergy.
Hi, all. Thank you for your patience. We're having some technical difficulties on our end. Just hang tight and we'll be right back.
All right, I'm not still.
Teresa, we have you back on audio.
How are we doing? Can people see and hear again?
We can hear you, Teresa. You can share your webcam again if you'd like, but we can definitely hear you. Audio is working now.
Thank you. Okay, so tolerance for ambiguity, right? Being comfortable with uncomfortable. So the outcomes that are listed there, friends, this I think now unfortunately froze on the screen.
Teresa, I'll take the screen sharing back and give it right back to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And show my screen and let's come back here. All right, can you see the screen?
We sure can.
Great.
We can hear you and see.
Thank you, friends, for your patience, right? Who knows the problems that we face in our projects. Again, outcomes that are there, you've had that up on your screen. Here's where you can find out more, and Christy will put that link in the chat for you there. Again, to give you the overview of creative problem solving and project management, and then if we wanted to explore further for PMPM, kind of the exam certification training, we're looking to tag on some time at the end of that if that's something that is of interest to any members of the group. Creativity etiquette, friends, it's always considered a crime against nature to diverge and converge at the same time. I encourage you to use those rules, use those guidelines, share them with colleagues, and think about it in your own work. Do I need to be generating ideas and understanding, or do I need to be kind of honing in and looking to begin to edit them and critique them? Just don't do them at the same time. So let's turn it over. If we have any questions about the micro-credential content that we covered today, we're happy to field those.
Excellent. Teresa, we do have a couple of questions that have come through. So just to get us started here with the Q&A, the first question is there particular terminology or framing used to describe problem-solving methodology that results in a higher degree or understanding integration, or does it vary depending on business focus, such as engineering, banking, finance, manufacturing, IT, etc.?
Outstanding. This is the beauty that I love my work. This notion of project management being industry neutral. Creative problem solving process is industry neutral. We have to clarify what the challenge is, what's the background. We need to generate some ideas. We need to pick one and develop it, and then we need to implement it. So the word beauty in this work is when I work with companies, and when you have this greater understanding, you can apply in your home, you could apply it to your work, you can apply it to a change in career. Both of them are industry neutral, can be used anywhere. We diverge, we converge, we just need to understand where we are in the problem.
Excellent. Teresa, the next question that we have submitted here, what is the difference between project management certification, Scrum Masters, and Agile certification?
Yeah, so they all fall under the blanket of project management. Project management has about 8 to 12 different certifications. You can also be a Scrum Master. I'm a certified Scrum Master. It's going to be looking at a different way. So rather than this traditional waterfall, all planning and then executing the plan, we can also look at the ways in which we go about the work more iteratively, where the team makes a lot more decisions, where we're able to plan for what we have going forward, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, bring it back, get feedback, and then to continue to plan and continue to develop. So it really depends. It really depends. What is it? Where is it? And how is it that you would like to work? All of them are hugely acceptable, widely recognized. There's a variety of different certifications, and it really is a matter of figuring out what is it that you'd like to do next and which certification, if any, makes most sense to you.
Fantastic. Teresa, the next question that we have submitted here, I know earlier in your presentation you talked about, you shared a slide on what we should share with our team prior to having some meetings. So this person is asking, can you discuss working with people who are more negative, maybe to your project management style or project management in general, and how to get them on board?
What we find is that if we don't have a process, right, attitude, title, loudness of voice tends to dominate. And so when we train teams in tools and techniques and to develop a culture, an affirmative judgment culture around problem solving, what ends up happening is even if they don't want to give an idea, ideas will still be generated. Even if they don't want to be part of the solution will arrive from group consensus. I have not ever had somebody in an organization, well, I have had them start and sit like this, but again, ideas don't have feelings, people do. So if we get to a mindset, if we showcase that we're looking, all ideas matter, all ideas are needed and vetted. Most importantly, ideas don't have feelings, people do. When we begin to diverge, all ideas are out there. When we begin to converge, any idea that's selected in that highlight, it's in play. So no matter how negative a person is, the level of involvement that they might want to have is their choice to make. We do continue to go forward. The key is to provide ample training so that folks know what's taking place. The other thing is really powerful is to bring in a facilitator. I have a favorite line. It's hard to read the label from inside the jar. If we're too close to the problem, we're inside of it, we can't see it. So for the negative person, if we can have input from them, if we can show the value of their input, we can level the playing field, all ideas matter, the energy begins to shift from an affirmative judgment one versus a hierarchical or loud or kind of veteran person on the team gets to have all the ideas.
Perfect. And Teresa, the next question has come from one of our attendees about the PMP. You mentioned it a couple times. Is it worth getting the PMP, they're wondering?
Again, really it depends. Personal preference and or the work that you're looking to do, is it a requirement? If you go online and look for project management positions, some of them might say PMP required, Certified Associate in Project Management, CAPM required. So in that sense, if that's the work that you want and it's a requirement to have the certification, you need it. The UB School of Management has been so thoughtful, and I give them enormous credit because we talked about, do we want to put a micro-credential in place that equips people with a skill set to be able to apply? Or do we want an exam preparation course? And what they said was no, with the mindset and the mission of UB School of Management, we want to develop folks, we want them to have tools, we want them to be better after a micro-credential than when they stepped in. So if you want to become certified, it is a choice. If your profession, if the positions that you want require it, then certainly you need to. If it's a decision that you'd like to make to acquire that professional credential, it really is a matter of choice.
Excellent. While we're talking about credentials here, Teresa, the next question is, what's the management credential that most helps with employment? This person had to stop their MBA due to losing their job, but wonder if the micro-credential and or PMP could bridge the gap until they finish their degree.
I would say absolutely. And here's one thing I'd like you to think about is at the end of this micro-credential, you'll be more than dangerous. You will have practiced some tools, you will have made some application, you will have used some jargon, you will have wrapped your head around use, understanding, and practical application of it. Friends, if this is something that you have of interest, especially if you're looking to bridge, I would encourage you to go onto PMI's website and look at the Certified Associate in Project Management. What that asks is that you don't prove years, extensive understanding of project management, but rather you've got foundational understanding of how this work goes about, how to execute it, how to have a process in place. That's a less involved exam. It's an easier exam to take in the sense that the content is different, and you still have those credentials, CAPM, Certified Associate in Project Management. What that tells the world is that you have understanding about this work. You are able to apply this work. The PMP, if you're really looking to be recognized as the leader, as the project lead in work, then that might be the one that you want to pursue. So really we're looking at 3 levels. Being able to have that practical understanding and do this work. The gap if you wanted to have a credential, the Certified Associate in Project Management, or if you're really keen to pursue project management work, then the credential PMP might be suited for you.
Excellent. And we just put that link too in chat for the PMI CAPM. The details are right there, so you can check that
Great.
out as well. Teresa, the next question: how can you shift a negative person to let them share?
Yeah. So when we do creative problem solving, when we're generating ideas, it's always important to do a warm up. So think about that negative person in the room. But imagine if we had done FourSight first. So if we're having a meeting and they're a high implementer like me, and all of this meeting is about clarifying and understanding, my energy is sapped right from the beginning. How do we need to frame our meetings? How do we need to be cognizant of the thinking preferences that people have? So I would encourage you to think about that. The second thing is those warm-ups. Think about how silly that was with the suitcase. It sets the stage, it shows the atmosphere and the climate that you're looking to create, and it teaches a tool. Then, friends, we would transition into actually solving the problem and generating ideas from that. So we make a little bit of levity. When we actually get to the problem, they've got a tool and a process to use. And if they're committed to their work, they'll have ideas that they want to share in. So creating an environment and a culture that asks, that teaches, that models inclusivity, synergy, all ideas count, that this isn't about title, it's about ideas. Ideas don't have feelings, people do. Let's stay focused on the process of generating ideas and developing those ideas.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Teresa. It looks like those are all the questions that have come in at this time. So just on behalf of the Office of Alumni Engagement and UB School of Management, I'd just like to thank you for taking your time, giving us your time today, sharing your knowledge, your expertise. We have recorded today's session, so if you'd like to go back and just listen to Teresa's presentation again, maybe take some notes or get some tidbits from it, feel free to do so. We're going to send you all the recording within the next 24 hours, so keep an eye on your email box for that email with the recording to come through. We have in the chat section put the link to the School of Management website as well as the other website that Teresa just mentioned for the PMI, so that's there as well. Also, save the date for next Wednesday, January 27th. We're going to be joined by UB School of Management Professor Alan Katernsky, who's going to speak on the topic of InfoSec management and how to deploy preventive and reactive responses to the issues we face in keeping our data secure and our privacy intact. So more information on all of our upcoming webinars as well as our webinar archive library can be found on our website, and that'll be included in the email tomorrow as well. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Teresa for any closing remarks.
Friends, what I'm willing to do is I'll see if we can do that is I'll just re-record this perhaps so we don't have those gaps in the middle. So let us work together and see how we can provide you that best experience within that hour. My contact information was there. We look forward to having you in that micro-credential. If it's something that is of interest, great. If training in your organization, whether on FourSight, thinking preferences, or project management is of interest, by all means reach out. But thank you for the hour together, and I wish you nothing but the best of success and great success in your careers and in your next endeavors.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you all for joining us today. Take care, stay well, enjoy the rest of your day, and go Bulls.